Good morning. This is Jim Rapon with Seattle Real Estate Chat, and today we're going to be focusing on the new FHA regulations that are coming out that will allow homeowners to get some sort of a reduction in their private mortgage insurance. And today I have two people with me, a guest host and my normal co-host. I'll start out with Rhonda, the co-host. Rhonda, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Jim. I'm Rhonda Porter. I'm a licensed loan originator in Washington State, and I also write the blog Mortgage Porter.
And then also today we have a guest with us, Frances Flynn Thorsen, who is a real estate school owner and instructor and consultant in Arizona. So she's going to be bringing a whole other perspective. But Frances, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now if you're not major involved with the school.
Sure. Well, I moved back to Pennsylvania last year, so I'm not living in Arizona anymore. I'm still writing and teaching. I've written several books about real estate. I've done a lot of training and teaching and writing about HUD homes. I worked very, very closely with housing counseling agencies and real estate associations throughout Arizona for several years during the height of the mortgage crisis, and watched a lot of that stuff happen, and watch a lot of that, some of that resolution start to happen, as they started to climb out of the depths of that terrible, terrible crisis. Now I'm in Pennsylvania, but I am connected online and still very, very active, and very, very happy to be here.
Great. Well, and thank you so much for joining us, because I think you'll bring a perspective of background and experience to this that I don't have. Rhonda may have, but I don't, and so I'm sure the viewers would be enhanced in their knowledge by that too. So here's what I know about this, and just to kind of put a little quick summary on this for viewers who are just jumping in and haven't heard about this, because it's pretty new. FHA, or HUD actually, announced they're planning to do a program they're calling HAWK. There's an acronym for everything in Washington, right? It stands for Homeowners Armed with Knowledge. And what they're planning on doing is a counseling program, both pre-purchase and post-purchase, that will involve some education that will assist homeowners to learn how to be careful about making sure things are paid on time and things like that. And in exchange for that, we'll have an opportunity to have their private mortgage insurance portion of the FHA loans reduced by some fraction. Not a huge amount, but some savings, definitely. So from that point forward, Rhonda, can you expand on what you understand about this program? I know it's not out yet.
Sure. Well, and one thing too, it's technically not private mortgage insurance. It's mortgage insurance premium through FHA, so it's not private. It's funded by FHA.
Right.
And, but we all view it as mortgage insurance. And it's really a great program, because FHA has really become something that is more geared towards borrowers that have lower credit scores and lower funds for down payment. And it's become probably less attractive in the last couple of years because of how much HUD has increased those mortgage insurance premiums. I mean, currently, if a borrower is going to use a FHA loan, even if they put 50% down, they're going to have mortgage insurance premiums. And so right now, the upfront mortgage insurance premium is 1.75% of the loan amount. And with this program, it'll reduce it 50 basis points, or to 1.25% of the loan amount. So that's a nice savings for the upfront premium. There's also monthly mortgage insurance, and so right now it's typically about 1.35% of the loan amount, and then that's divided by 12 to come up with your monthly mortgage insurance payment. And that's going to be reduced at the first stage to 1.25% of the base loan amount, or by 10 basis points. And then once the borrower has made payments on time, it'll be adjusted again. I want to say it's on the 25th month to 25th payment to 1.10% of the base loan amount. So that'll be another savings, or another reward for making your payment on time.
Well, okay, I'm now completely confused, because numbers do that to me. So we're really going to have to do one of those SketchUp videos where we do all of the numbers on the board, and everybody can, with a video, pause 5 times and try to figure out. Frances, did you want to add anything to that, or also talk about the timelines as you expect them coming forward?
Yeah, sure. I'll take a little more general approach because I think what we're seeing at HUD is a very, very timely response to a post-crisis situation. Many people, millions of people have lost their homes in the past few years, and this is going back now to to 2005, 2006, and a lot of the people who lost their homes in that time period are now in a situation where they can buy homes as well. And so part of this thrust at HUD is to help people make better choices this time around, make better choices in terms of overall monthly, financial. A lot of this housing counseling services agenda is about financial literacy and about financial empowerment, and which will help not just first-time home buyers, not just people who have never been in that arena, but people who were in that arena who even lost their homes. And so they are bringing housing counselors into the mix and making it possible for people to have a little bit more a better understanding of what they're getting into. I think a lot of it is very local, and I think in some areas, of course, in some areas we didn't have the type of issues and foreclosures as in others, and lending is also very, very regional. When I was in Pennsylvania I sold real estate for 22 years in Pennsylvania, and about 75 to 80% of the market was FHA. And most of those loans were FHA loans. When I went to Arizona, I was shocked because there were virtually no FHA lending, or very, very little in 2005, 2006, 2007. And when I talked to realtors about that, when I got there, I moved there in 2007. The type of stuff I heard was, well, FHA wants repairs. They want people to fix things. We don't want to deal with that. And I heard a lot of that, which was very, very unsettling. And when you went to the foreclosure fairs and to these areas where the housing counselors were working, you would meet people, or I would meet people who were losing their homes. And when they applied for their mortgage, they had scores in excess of 700, but they were doing some of that exotic financing with no money down, where there was no eye to condition in their in their housing, and they had roof issues during the monsoon. They had HVAC issues. They had big repairs that they couldn't take care of with out-of-pocket monies, and they lost their homes. So I think that making real good decisions is really important for homeowners.
Yeah, I agree. I think we had some kind of extremes there. I too remember the days where FHA appraisers were feared because they'd come in and they'd ask for some ridiculous things. And I had situations where there were literally a few square inches of peeled paint on the side of houses, and they were requesting repainting the house, kind of thing. And yet later on they went on to situations like you're talking about, where they did let a roof that would no way could pass getting a certification go, and then boom, if there's a storm, there would be a problem or something. So I'm glad to see that they're looking at trying to make a lot of this more practical and find a middle ground. This whole thing is part of a larger quality assurance framework too. Do either of you know more about that and can speak to the other parts of that? Rhonda?
I would probably defer to Francis on that. I mean, it is, I think FHA is probably trying to regain some market share gains. I'm sure that they've lost quite a bit, which they wanted to scale back with the increasing of the mortgage insurance premiums. So, I don't know. Do you have more information on that, Francis?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that FHA has had to take up a lot of slack for some of the other mortgage programs, and right now it's still the only. I mean, unless you know more, it's really the only one that I trust, really, implicitly, in terms of consumer friendliness. Do you think? I mean, are there other FHA alternatives that are as good? Do you think?
Oh, I would say that there's a lot of my first-time buyers that I work with, we're doing conventional programs.
Yeah.
As long as they have, you can do Freddie Mac's Home Possible program, I believe, with a credit score down to, I want to say 620. It might be 640. Okay. So, and the mortgage insurance is so much less, and it's typically a better program for a buyer. But I do like the education requirements. I think are great. But FHA has just become so expensive that I think that it prices a lot of buyers out of the market or to where they can't afford something. And so I hope that buyers will still, even though this program's great, even with the reduction in mortgage insurance premiums, conventional may still be a better route to go. But it's a great program, but it's gotten too pricey. So this is a good step in the right direction.
I think that often what we see is that the consumer is going to go, especially at this price point where they're very sensitive to the funds going out of pocket monthly, they're going to go to the lowest price point almost always. And it used to be that was FHA, and it's not at all anymore. And I think this will bring it back in that sphere. I'd like to talk a little bit from the consumer perspective of, okay, how's this going to affect me and when can I expect it? Now, I know we're in a review process now, but timelines of when these things start to happen. I mean, there's a pre-purchase counseling process that gets one of the or some of the amount lowered, and then there's something that they're doing which is very new to do after post closing. To get later down the road, more additional savings. What's the timeline? Do you know on that, Frances?
No, I mean I'm hearing that they're starting in October, and it looks like a 4-year program. Yeah. I don't know if that's what will happen. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a good idea for people to kind of start hooking up with those housing counselors now, because there are other programs in a lot of areas that are state programs that are very, very similar to this that people can start to tap into. And certainly, it's not a bad time to start even for people who are looking to do something in October, November, December, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they can just start to get pre-qualified, start to get their ducks in a row, take care of some debt, take care of some credit issues. There's plenty of time right now to get rolling. And if that's going to be happening, if the program is going to be happening with housing counselors, then, find some good housing counselors.
Right.
Yeah, start to work with them.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a mortgagee letter issued this summer, so we should have more information soon, within the next few months. And I would definitely meet with the lender and start getting the pre-qualification process going now. It could be that some people may qualify for conventional already, which will offer them a lower payment than FHA. Then even with the current or the proposed reduction in mortgage insurance premiums. But even if they're not quite ready, like Frances says, there might be things where you can do to improve your credit or to, work on savings, or oftentimes home buyers may do things that make total common sense, that like paying off a credit card or something like that, but where with the loan qualification process, maybe that money is more important for reserves or down payment. So I would probably suggest holding off on a counselor just until the mortgagee letter comes out, which should be soon, just so that we do have more direction, and just in case, we don't know if HUD's going to put a timeline, like it has to be starting this date or that date, until we have a mortgagee letter out, I would, start the pre-qual process, but just go in steps.
Right, yeah, no, that makes sense. And it looks like, too, I mean, at least what I've been hearing, is that the forecast is we'll probably continue to see pretty attractive rates for at least through the end of the year. At least that's everybody's crystal ball that I've been talking to. Rhonda, I haven't spoken to you about this in a few days. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, rates are still very low, and I don't see them trending a lot higher at this point. Eventually they will need to. I feel like I'm Chicken Little whenever I talk about rates, like, oh, they're going to go up, but they're still very low. And they seem to be trending that way. The Fed's talking about, who was it? Was it Bullard that I saw is talking about concerns about inflation, which will drive rates up. So, we'll just have to wait and see. But currently, yeah, they're low.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. Well, I think that's about it. Do either of you have any other points about this program you want to bring to light? Because I think there's a lot of it is that we're going to really need to wait for a month or two to get finalization. But since this just came out, I thought we'd bring it to people's attention because it's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, at least for FHA.
Well, I would like to say one thing, and I would like to applaud both of you and congratulate both you, Jim, and you, Rhonda, for this kind of a hang-on and for this type of an outreach. I think one of the issues, as from my perspective over the years, has been a real serious disconnect between the real estate community and the housing community. Housing community, of course, embraces all aspects of housing, whether people or whether they are owners or renters or whatever, and real estate has been very, very sales-centric. And in some areas of the country, there's been a real serious disconnect that hasn't served consumers well. In other areas of the country, and including yours, there's been a closer relationship. California's been very, very has a very good relationship between real estate and housing. Florida's been great, but in some areas of the country, there's been a disconnect. And I think that when I saw the notice about your hangout today, I almost stood up and cheered. I think it's great, and I thank you for that, and I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Thank you so much for that.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much. Rhonda, we'll have to have her back on again. I like
Oh, heck yeah. Anytime.
So anyway, we need to end this, but wanted to mention I put a pop-up here. If you're watching live, you'll see this right down on the bottom right of your screen. But it's where it has a little invite for you. If you are wanting to go to the home buyer seminars, we're doing one July 12th in the North Seattle Library there over in Wedgwood, and those typically they're completely full. So the sooner you get in, the better chance you have on those, and that gets you the certification for some of the state programs, which also have both down payment assistance and lowered interest rates. Rhonda, how are the bonds on that? Again, I haven't checked on that. And you keep your finger in the wind on that. What's going on there?
There still is funding available for the state bond program. The Home Advantage program through the state never runs out of funding, so that's great. They did run out of funds for the down payment assistance portion, just one segment of it, where if you were to use funds to buy a home that is a distressed home that was a foreclosure or short sale. So that's just one aspect of that that's gone, but the Home Advantage portion is still there. And they also just came out with a new program, which I need to write about on my blog, and I was on vacation, so I haven't really reviewed it yet, for the city of Tacoma for down payment assistance too. So lots of programs and help is out there, and I think that one thing that I really like to do is just make sure that everybody, compare all your options and know what's available to you, make an informed decision when you go to buy a house.
Great, great. So if any of you are interested, please sign up for that. And thanks again for Frances for coming on today and sharing your insights on HUD. And like I said, we'll have to have you back again. You're a great guest. Thanks, everybody, for showing up today, and we hope to see you next week.
Yeah, have a great week.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.